Insects, millipedes, crabs, lobsters, spiders, these are all classified in the phylum Arthropoda. In the hundreds of millions of years since their last common ancestor, they have evolved a great diversity. The same can be said of the diverse organisms in the phylum Mollusca. The squid and octopi, the clams and snails are all mollusks in this phylum, having diverged since their last common ancestor hundreds of millions of years ago. The ciliates of the phylum Ciliophora are at least as old according to fossils, although fossils are not common of ciliates, they seem to go back to the Ordovician and perhaps the Precambrian, and in the hundreds of millions of years since their last common ancestor, enormous diversity has evolved in this phylum. In this diverse Protistan phylum, more than 3,500 species are now known, and many more have yet to be identified. They can vary in size by a factor of 400, ranging in size from 10 microns to 4 millimeters, visible to the naked eye. They can live in diverse habitats: fresh water, salt water, soil, and then even the intestines of animals. Those that live in soil often have cilia only on one side of their bodies, which they use to propel themselves along films of liquid. They can be major predators of producers in these habitats. For example, in the ocean, they often ingest an average of 20% of the primary production from blue-green algae, the cyanobacteria, and green algae, and sometimes over half, especially after blooms of ciliates. Some are anaerobic, and anaerobic ciliates have evolved in at least 6 orders in this phylum. While the mitochondria still exist, they have been modified. Many have lost the enzymes which are required for cellular respiration, and some perform other functions and are known as hydrogenosomes. The cilia can sweep the surrounding fluid into an oral groove, and food vacuoles can be formed at the base of the oral groove, where then prey is packaged into a vacuole and lysosomes can then digest the prey. Thus, ciliates can ingest bacteria, cyanobacteria, a diversity of eukaryotes ranging from green algae to other ciliates, and even microscopic animals. Some lack an oral groove, and the cilia simply sweep the fluid which may contain nutrients, perhaps from decaying matter, and the nutrients can be absorbed through penocytosis. Some are known as mixotrophs because they are capable of both phagocytosis and photosynthesis because of endosymbiotic organisms capable of photosynthesis which live inside them. A great diversity of possible endosymbiotic organisms can be found inside ciliates, such as green algae, perhaps the most common. After phagocytosis of green algae, the chloroplasts from green algae may be endosymbionts inside the paramecia. Photosynthetic dinoflagellates, cyanobacteria, purple photosynthetic bacteria, and methanogenic bacteria are all known to be endosymbionts inside some ciliates. There are even extreme examples of ciliates which destroy coral animals and ingest their endosymbiotic dinoflagellates, or the one single ciliate which is a parasite in humans, Alantidium coli, which can cause gastrointestinal illness after being ingested in a resistant cyst form. This can be spread through fecal contamination or since they can live in the intestines of pigs through water which has been contaminated by sewage and by pig wastes.